Hi, Scott here again with another raw video recipe for you. Toasty just wants to say a quick hello. He's always hanging around. Okay, he's a bit of a scavenger, but at the end of the day, he's a raw vegan puppy dog, so anything I eat, he eats as well. So say hello to the rest of the world there, Toasty. There you go. Good boy. He's eyeing up the seed bread because that's what we're going to do in this particular video presentation. We're going to make some just straight up and down sunflower seed, flax meal bread. Now what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a couple of cups of organic, well not necessarily organic, but pesticide free, as long as you know the source, of sunflower seeds. Okay, so we're going to put that into here. Alright, and the recipe is available, of course, as a PDF. After you've actually watched it, you can actually download the recipe and you've got that in front of you as well. This is so simple, it's ridiculous, okay? And even if you don't have a dehydrator, it doesn't matter, because you can use your oven. Alright, you can already turn your oven on right now, leave the door open, 50 degrees C, alright, no more than 110 Fahrenheit. Leave the door open and just get that a bit of warmth going. So, 2 cups of sunflower seeds which have gone in here. We're going to put 1 diced red onion, which is really simple and straightforward. It's going to get diced up a little bit more in its own right. This adds a bit of flavour and sweetness to the bread, which is really neat. A diced tomato. Now the tomato actually adds a bit of colour, but it also adds a bit of moisture to the mixture, because we're going to need to have the mixture relatively moist, so that we can roll it out and get it onto the Teflix paper in either the oven or the dehydrator. Then a diced red bell pepper. Okay, and that adds a bit more colour and a bit more maturity to it. What I often do is I actually add some garlic to it, which is not on the recipe, but you can do that. So I'll just add a bit of garlic to this because this is something that I enjoy doing. Just a small clove of garlic. Bang bang, and we'll just quickly trim that off and pop that in. And again, this adds just a nice bit of flavour to things. And I do chop this up even though it's going in the blender. Okay, this is the blender this time. Now remember, don't put the meal in it yet, because what we want to do is just get the basic ingredients going first. That's essentially it, and I add a little bit of water at this stage to get things going, okay, nice and sticky. Now, just turn this on, very straightforward, give it a pulse. Now, as you can see, everything is starting to sort of go very nicely and mushy in there. You don't want it any wetter than that. This is actually quite wet in its own right now because of the water, but you don't want it any wetter than that at this particular point. Well, we're going to actually just give that a bit more breakdown. And you want a nice consistency here. So just let that go. Things about blenders with double blades, the bottom gets done before the top, so be wary of that. And just stop it every few minutes, or few revolutions, and bring the bottom up to the top. Alright, so that's looking nice and chopped. We'll give it another little going over. So the thing about raw food, it requires very little attention when you're coming to prepare it, including something like this, which seemingly requires a bit of work. Okay, now that that actually is chopped, and you can see by the consistency in here that it's chopped brilliantly, we're going to actually just add 1 cup of flax meal, okay? So we've had 2 cups of sunflower seed, and now we're just going to add a cup of flax meal. And what the flax meal does, apart from adding really good protein to the mixture, it helps to bind it together. Because when we roll it out in just a second, you want to make sure that in fact everything is going to stick beautifully, and that's exactly what the flax meal does. So just empty that around there. Alright. Put the lid back on. Now it should go nice and firm. Now, if for some strange reason you've actually put too much water in it, don't panic. You just add a little bit more flax meal, and that works as well. So what we've got is a little firm concrete basically beginning to emerge here. And the main thing is not to have it too wet, otherwise you can't roll it out. But when I roll this out onto the mat, you'll see exactly the consistency that we're aiming for. So that probably will do it. Let's just have another look here. Yep, that will do it. We'll just bring the bottom up to the top. And I might just add a dash more water, just a dash. Now remember, recipes are never fixed in stone. Like life, I guess. So you can actually just add a little bit more, subtract a bit more based on your peculiar needs. Otherwise I'm going to be using this. I want to make sure it's right. Okay, now that's pretty good. I can see it moving around the bottom of the blender, and based on my experience and my previous feats, that's looking pretty good. So we'll just take that off there now, and just put that in there. Move that aside, and we'll bring the one of the Teflex sheets out of the dehydrator. Okay. I'll just move this aside so you can see what's going on. Now the idea basically is to put this onto a sheet like that. And yep, it looks pretty messy, but you're going to flatten it out and it'll all join up in a second. And get rid of the blades, and then you don't have any problems with fingers and what have you made. Just bring all that together, add a bit more. Now what we're going for here is we're going for about not even half an inch, quite thin level. I'm going to get 2 trays out of the 2 cups of seeds and the 1 cup of flax meal. These are really handy. This is actually a spatula, so if you actually have a spatula somewhere, whether it's rubber or whether in fact it's metal, stainless steel is even better. The idea is just flatten that out. Like that. Grab another sheet of Teflex, which is here. You put that over the top, because often people say, how do you actually get it so thin? And you just roll that out to meet the edges. And back again. And do it crosswise as well, because often with these here, and just flatten that all out. We're going to just pick up the bits on the ends and just reposition them in just a sec. Now you see how uniformly flat that is, and we just pick this up and we'll just put that down the side here. I find that in my dehydrator the front actually gets cooked a lot faster than the back. Well, not a lot faster, but just a bit sooner than the back, this being the front going into the dehydrator. Alright, so we'll just give this a little bit more. That's better. Right out to the edges. Okay, just whip that off, and what I do is I just flatten everything off here. Now you see how that's come out nice and grainy. It's got all the ingredients in there sitting beautifully. Some people put it in the dehydrator and let it go for an hour or so before scoring. What I do is I just tend to score it beforehand. I just flatten off the edges here with my stainless steel spatula. You know, the thing about raw is that, you know, some aspects of it are actually quite organic, and this is perhaps one of the most organic attributes of the whole raw story, when you've got bits and pieces that aren't absolutely brilliant, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, while some of my food looks brilliant and is gourmet-like, you can do it yourself. So there you go. I've just scored that. Now that's going to go, I'm actually going to make these sides just a bit smaller, so there's a bit more there. The dog likes the outer corners. That's going to go into a dehydrator at 110 for about 8 to 12 hours. I usually put it on overnight, and I finish it off in the sun for half an hour next morning. Or put it in your oven. If it's a fan-forced oven, put it in your oven, and that will work brilliantly. So pop that in there. Now let's assume that 12 hours have gone, and essentially what we're looking for is something that looks like that. Now these are the little biscuits, you can hear them, these little snacks. They've dried up brilliantly. You see the bits of tomato in it, and the onion, the whole kit and caboodle. So this is essentially what you're looking for. That's your bread replacement. And for guys my age that have real bread issues, this is absolutely fabulous, all right? And it actually works brilliantly, because you don't need to get involved in the gluten thing any longer. Run some of these up on a Sunday afternoon, and that'll last you the whole week. And then you've got something to actually eat your soup with and enjoy your other raw food with. All right, so I hope that gives you a bit of an insight into how to put together the seed bread. Remember, download the PDF file which is available, and you'll be able to just run through the recipe and then come back and see what I've done when you start to make these things yourselves. So until next time, you know, the old adage, be wise and wealthy, but none of those two are any damn good if you're not healthy. So until the next video, I'm Scott Mathias. Cheers.